What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back outside the Kingsland, and today we are here with one of New York City's own, Glass Lungs. Thank you for your time, guys.
No, thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's an honor to have you guys after hearing Impermanence. It's definitely a record that needs to be heard. I'd like to know how the recording was for it.
Pretty bad. It was great. We worked with Frank over at Voodoo Studios and a little bit with Mike Watts, but they were such a pleasure to work with. Frank really saw the vision that we wanted for this record. You know, we didn't really want to have any ceilings on it. You know, we wanted to be able to do as big as we want or as little as we wanted to kind of paraphrase, and Frank really stuck with that. Yeah.
And we lived there. We lived there for about 20 days.
Really?
Yeah, nonstop.
20 days? 20 days is a little bit of an exaggeration, right? Was it 20 days?
It was maybe 18.
Yeah.
So living there that long, did that maybe help influence any of the overall songwriting? Or maybe the frustration of not being in your home added more to the metal element?
Well, I wrote a solo while we were there. That wasn't supposed to be on the record.
I think you go a little like stir crazy after probably, I'd say like the 6th day of not seeing sunlight and just hanging out with each other. You really get to know each other's personalities.
I think, like, you know, we also, every morning we went and got like a dozen bagels and ate 2 bagels each a day. So 6 days of eating bagels and smelling fart bagels was probably made us crazy too. So
Hey, bagels are pretty metal.
yeah.
But one thing I really liked about the Impermanence record is that there was a lot of different elements on there, and at the same time, I felt like there was like a narrative. I remember, Dan, you and I were talking for like an hour before the camera started rolling. Pretty much was enough to even be the interview.
Yeah.
That there was like a concept that was originally supposed to be behind it, right?
Yeah. So first thing is it's Nick, but it's all good.
Oh, fuck me.
You asked this too. You confirmed. You were like, oh yeah, right.
Just because I kept calling you Dan for the
Yeah.
past 20 minutes. All right, that was my bad. I just gave the troll some ammunition.
What's up, guys? So it's funny that you use the word elements, actually, because what we were talking about is how we had some different members in the band. Before Andy was drumming for us, and I think this is when Bill was still playing bass and Jay wasn't in the band. We were writing an Elements album based on like the 5 different elements. It was kind of like alchemy infused. So the idea was to write a different song for each of the 5 different elements and make the song sound as close to that element as you can. And you see that in songs like Firewalker, where the element was obviously fire, and we were going for this heavy kind of gritty sound, and the monolith was supposed to be the element of ether, and that's why you get this kind of spacey, airy tone to it. And so that's kind of where a lot of the dynamics and elements of the album came from.
Awesome. And did that, obviously, that concept did determine the music as well, right?
Yeah, definitely in some ways.
Yeah, a lot of the effects we used for each of those songs was based around the element. So in Eyes of the Abyss, that was supposed to be water at first. So there's a lot of there's a lot of vibrato, there's a lot of phaser, and a lot of underwatery type of sounds in that. And like he was saying, Monolith was ether, so there was a lot of ambient noise, and there aren't even many guitar riffs in that song. It's mostly just ambient space and layers and things like that.
Which is awesome. And like I said, though, there's so many different elements in it. Was there, I mean, you obviously had this concept that you were just talking about, but was there any other preconceived ideas before the making of Impermanence?
Well, we had just moved Bill from bass to 3rd guitar, and truck. We had just moved Bill from bass to 3rd guitar. We had just gotten Jay, so I think a lot of it was trying to give everybody a part and give everybody their own space. It's hard with 3 guitar players, but we made it work, and Nick and I are really great at like moving around one another with leads. We mesh really well that way, and
Yeah.
It's funny. A lot of the times, me and Alex will write. I'll write a lead or a guitar part, and he'll write a part to it without really coordinating. We'll kind of just jam on the part a few times, and when we actually go back and stop and take the part piece by piece, we don't really need to change much because we've got into a very good habit of understanding how we write as musicians and guitarists. So we'll kind of complement each other a lot, and there's a lot of parts on the records where there's these call and response kind of guitar parts where I'll play something and Alex will respond, or Alex will play something and I'll respond to him. So that made up a big part of the leads in terms of the guitar. In terms of like what else we were trying to do, bringing Jay in and letting Bill move to a third guitar player was kind of this idea of, in like the studio, you always record 3 guitar parts, no matter like what band you're in for the most part. So we wanted to be able to carry over what we did in the studio to live, because in a lot of the choruses, me and Alex will both be playing different kinds of leads, and we still want to have that powerful low end register. So Jay is holding that down on the bass, and then Bill is kind of giving it a little bit more. I don't know what's the word for it.
Like a voicing to it with the chord.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like every instrument did count with this record too, you know what I mean? It's not like one was more guitar driven or one was more vocal driven. Now, as you and I were talking, Nick, not Dan, but you were also in the band Life is a Ghost, and I don't know if you were in any...
I was in Bellicus, like the precursor kind of to Life is a Ghost.
Okay. So I was curious because...
Kind of. All right, the singer was the same.
Did elements from Life of a Ghost ever influence at all to Impermanence by Glass Lungs, or did you just want to make a separate new project?
When I was in Life as a Ghost, I mean, I've been playing heavy music since I was 15. I think that was my first heavy band, and we pretty much just played breakdowns and horror chords, so it wasn't anything noteworthy. Life as a Ghost started when I was 18, and that went till I was about 22. So at that time, I've only really been playing heavy music, and I had a lot of other music that I liked and listened to. Like, that's where all the spacey, ambient, weird, reverby, we call it space wizardry, comes from. I always wanted to be in a band like that, and I said that if I was ever in a band again, that's what I would do. So once Life as a Ghost broke up, I took a few years off from actually playing music to kind of just get inspired again. And Alex was playing music in a band that was pretty much right on cue with what I wanted to play, so it worked out perfectly. But I would say, to answer your question, not really. I don't think Life as a Ghost influenced it too much. I just wanted it to be something different.
Definitely. Now, I was actually really curious. I mentioned this in my review of the record. While, a lot of people, like I've heard people, like I've showed you people the record before, and they said they compared it to bands like Tesseract or that sort of prog element. But do you really think that one needs to be like a metalhead to appreciate your music?
I've actually heard a lot of people say Tesseract at this point.
I thought I was original.
And a lot of people saying prog. And I think going into this, we never thought of it that way. We were never like, we're a prog band, or we're, trying to go for that Tesseract sound. We were actually, just wanting to make ambient music. The heaviness came naturally. The weird time signatures and patterns, those came naturally. Just, I think, from having that metal background from previous bands.
So like the metal just subconsciously had an influence on it.
Yeah, just subconsciously comes there. I think
no escaping it.
Yeah, and I think we naturally just like those like diminished, distressed kind of chords. So it makes it always sound that way. I don't know.
He's not the guy to ask. He gets mad whenever we write a heavy part.
Yeah, I do. I'm the anti-heavy guy.
Well, I've also saw maybe like an uncanny resemblance to Circus Survive as well. Like I mentioned that in the review as well.
Which is funny because he also doesn't like Circus Survive. Don't tell them that. 'Cause we'd love to tour with them, but
I have a great respect for Circus Survive and the songs that they write. They're really talented musicians. I could never get, hooked on any of that, but I definitely, even starting this band and talking to everyone, I said to them, I am going for like a Circus Survive type of vibe.
Yeah, and it definitely has that.
Yeah, and Chad's loves Anthony Green. I think you definitely hear that. you know.
Oh, like I said, it was uncanny. Now, being that you guys are one of New York City's own, I mean, I know you're from Long Island, but at this point I consider it the 6th or 7th borough. But your take, I'd imagine coming from this scene, what is your take on the New York City scene and everything in Long Island, whatever?
I mean, like being out of the scene for a little while, like I said, I took a break. Actually, I teach yoga full time, which is like the complete opposite of this was what most people think.
Not true. There's a black metal yoga thing at Lucky 13.
Yeah, I got to check that out.
I'm pretty sure St. Vitus has one too,
yeah.
metal yoga.
But yeah, so like I kind of took a break from the music scene in general. Like I wasn't going too many too many shows. I was just like I think I was a little burnt, and I needed to, like I said, find some inspiration again. And coming back to the scene now, like I don't really understand it as much anymore. I think when I was younger, I had a different way of looking at it too. But we don't really understand where we fit in the music scene, because like you said, we've gotten compared to like Tesseract and stuff like that, when we've always thought of ourselves as a band that would be more compared to Circa Survive, and even like bands like This Will Destroy You or Explosions in the Sky. We kind of see ourselves more in that vein as far as like how much ambience is in our music. So
We're not opposed to prog though.
yeah, we're not opposed to prog.
We're really
It's just-
psyched that you guys have let us into that scene.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with the 8-minute songs, it's kind of, it could be like Dragon Force is not prog at all, but with the 12-minute songs that they have, they fall into that category.
Yeah, I guess once you get past like 5.5 minutes, you're progged if you want to or not. So
Yeah. Well, now you just, in a way, led me into my next question, because one of the questions I was going to ask is, how do you guys know when a song is done?
So one of his big things, and I guess it's a big thing of mine too because I'm on the same page as you, but one thing he always sticks by is having a solid, strong structure. So a chorus that repeats, having pre-choruses. This is where we kind of disagree. He always wants a pre-chorus. I'm kind of like, maybe. And having verses and just kind of sticking to almost not like a poppy song structure because it never sounds like that, but similar, like that kind of theology with what we want to do with our songs. So I think we know a song's done once. I have no fucking clue. I was talking.
That's when Alex comes.
Yeah.
Your name is Alex, right?
Yes. I think we are very big on song structure. Like he said, at least I am. I've definitely broke out of that more. We've been changing pre-choruses up slightly and things like that. But we get probably at least up to the first chorus and then decide there, are we going to continue with this song or are we scrapping this song? I think that we don't really write a full song and then don't record it. That doesn't happen for us.
Good.
Yeah.
So no unexpected B-sides in the future.
No, never. So if a song's not going well by the first chorus, it's done, and we don't go for it any longer.
I think with our songwriting too, we jam a lot. So our bassist Jay always has his phone on recording, and he'll have to go home afterwards to these like 7-minute snippets of us just jamming. And sometimes that's how songs start. So actually, to speak about what he was saying, From the Wayside came from a different song, actually. We were about one chorus into a song when we wrote the first riff of From the Wayside and decided that riff was way cooler and scrapped the rest of the other song.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Must have been a strong freaking riff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the final question I want to have is, I heard that you are quite the gearhead yourself.
Oh yeah. I am fucking obsessed.
Yeah. And being that from what I heard, everybody else in the band sucks with gear, you could speak for everybody else.
At this point, they're all a lot better. I think when we started, everyone thought I was absolutely insane. As time went on, everybody else in the band kind of caught on, and we're using point-to-point hand wire amplifiers. We're using all like vintage recreations of speakers. All of our drive pedals are hand wired. Trying to get like the purest signal like ever. Yeah, there's a lot of money spent in gear in this band.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, honestly, between all of us, there's probably, I'd say, 50 pedals on stage. Like no joke.
You just put Tom Morello to shame.
Yeah. I mean, we're really into like boutique and just like, you know, little type of companies that are making, you know, random stuff in like Russia.
Did you ever check out Fuzzrocious? They're really cool.
Yeah. We actually never played one, but they have this one called like Lo-Fi Dreams or something.
Yeah.
I would love to play one of those.
Yeah, they're great people.
But yeah, we're really big on gear. Going into the studio with Frank, that's like one of the first things we said with him. We're like, we're using only this type of gear. The entire album needs to be analog. Like, let's do it. And he was like, all right, I'm on board. And that's what we did for the entire album. But actually, at the end of the album, for the last song we recorded, which was Empire, this is back to the solo that Nick is talking about. We had to use Marshall Plexi for that solo. You have to.
Marshall is the king of loud. So
Yeah. But yeah, the rest of the album was all done on like Matchless and Emix 11 and Bad Cats and things like that.
And this is stuff you've always used, right? It's not like you had this sound in mind for Glass Lungs and we're just like, okay, we need to adjust our gear to fit that.
I was always obsessed with gear before Glass Lungs, and then I kind of getting into like what kind of sound we wanted, I kind of figured out like what kind of instruments and what kind of gear we needed to fit that mold. But it was always like high-end boutique gear. And we kind of figured, you know, we need like the cleanest clean of amps to be able to do what we do. And we barely use any gain. All that comes from the bass.
Wow.
Yeah. Jay's bass is like crazy dirty.
I've seen it at that Knitting Factory show.
Yeah.
It quite is. So before we go, I want to thank you guys so much for your time. This was quite a long interview. I think, oh, wow, we're just hitting the 20-minute mark. Awesome.
A little bit longer than our songs, but that's okay.
Yeah, well,
I
no,
could talk
you
forever.
could use this. I mean, your music's already experimental enough. You could actually probably I'll send you the audio. And
Yo, we'll put it on Spotify.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that 3 cents I'll be getting from it. But, you know, now that Impermanence is out, I imagine you guys are going to be doing a lot of things for it. I mean, you know, you just recently played an awesome show at Knitting Factory. You're playing this show right now at the Kingsland. What could we be expecting from Glass Lungs for the rest of 2018?
We actually just had to cancel a short tour, which was out of our control, some van issues. But next month, at the end of the month, we are doing a short run. We're hitting mostly tri-state shows, New England shows for now. So we have a lot of, you know, touring stuff in the mix. We're also trying to record a 5-song acoustic EP. Wow. That are all songs from the record translated to acoustic guitar, which we think will be pretty cool. And that's pretty much. You got anything else, Nick?
We got 2 demo songs on the back burner that probably won't come out for a while, so I don't know why I'm mentioning it, but we're already writing new music and thinking about what's the next step for us. So we're doing that right now, like you said, the 5-song acoustic EP, and just getting out there and playing as many like weekend shows that we can, you know, hitting the tri-state area and just, you know, shoving this in people's faces as nicely as we can, you know?
So if you're in the tri-state area
of New York, I might add, be sure to catch Glass Lungs.
Thank you.
I want to thank you guys so much for your time. It was great to have you guys here. Everybody, we are here with Alex and Nick, not Dan, of Glass Lungs. Pick up Impermanence if you haven't already. New music coming soon. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.